Imagine standing in front of your bathroom mirror, staring at that small orange bottle of blood pressure pills, and feeling a cold pit of dread in your stomach because despite taking them every single morning, your monitor just flashed a reading of 165/95. You've followed the rules, you've cut out the extra salt, and you've endured the dizzy spells and the swollen ankles that come as side effects, yet the numbers simply won't budge. This is the terrifying reality for millions of seniors who are trapped in what I call the resistance loop. One of my patients, a 68-year-old retired contractor from Ohio, sat in my clinic and looked at me with pure exhaustion. He felt like a failure. He was terrified that his heart was a ticking time bomb and that no amount of modern medicine could stop the inevitable. He felt like he was doing everything right, but his body was whispering a different story. Before I reveal the simple daily adjustment that fundamentally shifted his cardiovascular health, I want to ask you, where are you joining us from today? Are you sitting in your living room in Florida, or perhaps catching this from a quiet morning in Arizona? Drop your city and state in the comments below. I read these personally because knowing where our Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips community is located helps me understand the environmental stressors you face every day. Now listen to me very carefully, because if your medication isn't working, it's likely not because the pill is bad. It's because your body has built a biological wall that is preventing that medicine from reaching its target. Most people believe the dangerous myth that if one pill doesn't work, you just need a higher dose or a second prescription. The reality is that for many seniors, their internal plumbing has become so stiff and their nervous system so overstimulated that the medication is like trying to put out a forest fire with a squirt gun. I'm Dr. Danzy, and I have spent years helping seniors realize that your heart is not a machine that just breaks down. It is a living organ that responds to the rhythm of your day. If you don't address the hidden blockades in your daily routine, you are effectively fighting your medication. But there is a trap that nearly 90% of seniors fall into when their numbers stay high. They panic. They start obsessively checking their pressure every 30 minutes, which releases a flood of adrenaline that keeps the pressure elevated, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of heart strain. For the senior heart, high blood pressure isn't just about the force of the blood, it's about the resistance of the vessel walls. Think of your arteries like a set of old, weathered pipes. Over the decades, they lose their ability to flex and relax. When you add chronic stress and a lack of specific micro-movements to the mix, those pipes become as rigid as stone. My patient from Ohio found this out the hard way when he started experiencing silent spikes in the late afternoon. He didn't realize that his habit of sitting for 4 hours straight while watching the news was causing his blood to pool in his lower extremities, forcing his heart to pump twice as hard just to keep his brain oxygenated. But what happened next shocked his entire family. When I showed him the nitric oxide window and the circadian reset we teach here at Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips, his systolic pressure didn't just drift down, it stabilized within the healthy range for the first time in 3 years, and the best part, he did it without changing his dosage. A study of 2,000 seniors recently suggested that those who integrated a specific vascular flushing routine saw a 40% improvement in how their bodies responded to their existing medication. This is the climax of the resistance crisis. Your doctor sees you for 15 minutes once every 3 months, but they aren't there with you at 4 p.m. when your stress hormones are peaking and your arteries are tightening. If you are seeing high numbers despite your pills, you are in a state of functional hypertension. You are forcing your heart to work against a closed door, but there is a secret bridge to reclaiming your vascular flexibility, and it starts with a 30-second habit you perform before you even have your breakfast. But this is where most people make a deadly mistake. They hear about natural routines, and they think they should stop taking their medication cold turkey to try a detox. At Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips, we see the catastrophic results of that decision all too often. Sudden withdrawal from blood pressure medicine can cause a rebound effect that can trigger a stroke in hours. You're trying to steer a ship by jumping overboard. I remember a 72-year-old woman who thought she could replace her pills with a trendy herbal tea she saw online, yet her pressure hit 190 within 2 days, and she ended up in the emergency room with a crushing headache. She didn't realize the problem wasn't the pills, it was the fact that her body's natural pressure regulators were completely dormant. It is heartbreaking how many seniors are told that stubborn blood pressure is just an inevitable part of getting older. It isn't. It is a sign that your biological signals are crossed. There is a common belief that as long as you take your pill, the rest of your day doesn't matter. But the reality is that your medication needs a co-pilot. I'm going to show you a specific sequence of 3 daily actions that tells your nervous system to stand down and allows your medication to finally do its job. I've seen this work for patients who were on 3 different prescriptions and still couldn't get below 150. It's about clearing the biological noise so the medicine can hear the heart's distress signal. But wait, there is a hidden risk that your pharmacist probably didn't mention. It's called postprandial spiking. For many seniors, their blood pressure actually goes up significantly after a healthy meal because their body is struggling to manage the insulin response and the blood flow to the gut simultaneously. This sudden surge can override your medication for hours. This is why you need a guide who understands the timing of the senior body. You can't just eat well, you have to eat strategically. One of my patients thought he was doing great with his morning oatmeal, but he was actually triggering a massive pressure spike every single day at 9 a.m. that his medication couldn't keep up with. Do you feel the urgency? Every day that your medication fails to control your pressure, your arterial age is accelerating, but you have the power to fix the alignment of your health tonight. We are about to walk through the resistance breaking routine I prescribe to my most difficult cases. It involves a specific morning artery opener, a midday reset, and a nightly de-stressing technique that ensures your heart stays in the green zone while you sleep. What happened to my contractor patient when he mastered these 3 steps was so profound that his own doctor asked him if he had started a new experimental drug. And this is where most people make a deadly mistake. They ignore the ankle signal. If you notice that your socks are leaving deep indentations in your skin by the end of the day, that is your body telling you that your medication is struggling against fluid retention and poor circulation. If you wait until you feel chest heaviness to take this seriously, you have waited far too long. That swelling is the siren. It is the signal that your vascular system is currently overwhelmed and needs an immediate manual reset. Are you ready to learn how to make your medicine work for you again and protect your heart from the damage of stubborn hypertension? We're about to pull back the curtain on the endothelial reset, a technique so simple it takes less than 5 minutes a day, but so powerful it can reduce the workload on your heart by a staggering degree. But first, we have to talk about the water trap, because if you are drinking your water at the wrong time of day, you are actually diluting your medication and making your heart work 20% harder for no reason. That contractor from Ohio didn't just see a lower number on his screen, he felt the pulse in his forehead finally go quiet. He went from a man who felt betrayed by his own body to a man who understood how to negotiate with his biology. He realized that the gap between his medication failing and his medication succeeding was filled by the simple, rhythmic choices he made between sunrise and sunset. When your arteries are stiff, your medicine is like a messenger trying to deliver a letter through a locked steel door. But once he applied the resistance-breaking routine, he effectively unlocked the door from the inside. I'm Dr. Danzy, and you're watching Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips. If you are tired of feeling like a difficult patient because your numbers won't stabilize, I want you to know that there is hope, and it's likely simpler than you've been told. Please, hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell. We are here to give you the high-authority strategies that modern medicine often skips over in those rushed 15-minute appointments. Now, let's break down the daily reset protocol. The first step is the matcha morning artery opener. Most people take their pill and then immediately sit down for breakfast. This is a mistake. Within 20 minutes of taking your blood pressure medication, I want you to perform hand grip isometrics. You can use a simple stress ball or even a rolled-up towel. Squeeze as hard as you can for 2 minutes, then rest for 2. A study of 2,000 seniors recently suggested that this specific isometric exercise triggers a release of natural vasodilators that prime the arteries, making them 30% more receptive to the medication as it enters your bloodstream. But here is the trap. If you hold your breath while squeezing, you will actually cause a temporary spike. You must keep your breathing steady and deep. This leads us to the step 2, the midday vascular flush. Around 2 p.m., your body's natural rhythm causes a dip in energy and a potential rise in vascular resistance. This is when most resistance happens. Instead of reaching for more caffeine, which constricts your vessels, I want you to perform the elevated leg pump. Lie down for just 5 minutes with your feet above your heart and pump your ankles. I remember a 68-year-old woman who was a patient of mine. Her medication would wear off by the afternoon. I told her to implement this 5-minute flush. By returning the pooled blood from her legs back to her heart, she reduced the mechanical strain on her system, allowing her midday dose to work much more effectively. But what happened next is the most important biochemical shift of the day. But this is where most people make a deadly mistake. They think they can wash down their medication with a large meal. At Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips, we've seen the evidence. Your stomach and your heart are in a constant tug-of-war for blood flow. If you eat a heavy, carb-rich meal right when your medication is trying to peak, your heart has to work 20% harder just to digest, which can completely override the effect of the pill. Now, let's talk about step 3, the magnesium nightcap. While your doctor might have you on a diuretic or an ACE inhibitor, many seniors are missing the mineral spark plug that allows the heart muscle to actually relax at night. Taking a high-quality magnesium glycinate 1 hour before bed acts as a natural calcium channel blocker, supporting your medication while you sleep. But wait, there is a major myth versus reality check here regarding low-sodium labels. Many seniors switch to salt substitutes to help their medication work. The reality is that many of these substitutes are loaded with potassium chloride. If you are on an ACE inhibitor or a potassium-sparing diuretic, these healthy substitutes can actually raise your potassium to a level that causes dangerous heart palpitations. This is why you need a guide who looks at the synergy of your pantry and your pill box. And this is where most people make a deadly mistake. They assume that if the medicine isn't working today, they should just wait for the next checkup. Blood pressure is a dynamic force. If it's high now, it is damaging you now. You don't have to wait 3 months to start the endothelial reset. You can start making your body a receptive environment for healing tonight. Are you starting to see the power you hold? You are moving from a state of frustration to a state of vascular mastery. We still have the final secret to reveal. The water trap I mentioned earlier. It is a specific mistake regarding how and when you drink your fluids that can actually make your heart work 20% harder for no reason, effectively canceling out your morning dose. Wait until you hear about the ankle signal I mentioned earlier. Did you know that the pitting in your skin is actually a measurement of how much pressure your heart is failing to overcome? Once you fix the timing of your hydration, that swelling often vanishes in a matter of days. That contractor from Ohio finally saw his ankle swelling disappear and his morning readings stay in the green zone, not because he took more pills, but because he stopped fighting his own anatomy. He realized that the gap between a heart under siege and a heart at peace was filled by the simple, expert-led adjustments he made to his daily routine. He was no longer a victim of stubborn hypertension. He was a master of his own vascular health. I'm Dr. Danzy, and here at Artery, Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips. My mission is to ensure you never feel like a lost cause just because the standard approach isn't giving you the results you deserve. We've covered the morning artery opener, the midday flush, and the magnesium nightcap, but now we have to finish with the most misunderstood factor of all, the water trap. The reality is that your blood pressure medication relies on a delicate balance of fluid volume in your arteries. If you chug a massive amount of water immediately after taking your pill, you are temporarily increasing your blood volume so rapidly that your heart has to spike its pressure just to handle the surge. This can effectively neutralize the very medication you just swallowed. I've seen so many patients who think they are being healthy by staying hydrated, but because they are flooding their system at the wrong time, they are making their heart work 20% harder for no reason. But I have to ask you, आपके साथ ऐसा कब हुआ है? Have you ever felt that strange pounding in your chest right after drinking a large amount of water or eating a meal, even though you just took your medicine? Tell me about those moments in the comments. I read your stories because and Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips. Community thrives when we share the silent signals our bodies send us every day. The water anchor technique is your final solution. Instead of flooding your system, you must sip load your hydration. Drink 4 ounces of room temperature water every hour on the hour. This keeps your blood viscosity or thickness perfect without ever overwhelming your heart's pumping capacity. This allows your medication to maintain a steady, effective level in your bloodstream throughout the entire day and night. As we conclude today, remember that your medication is a tool, but you are the craftsman. A tool is only as good as the hands that hold it. By implementing the endothelial reset, you are giving your heart the environment it needs to heal, flex, and relax. You have the power to break the resistance loop starting tomorrow morning. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Sir Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips. Tanju. We are here to provide the high-authority, science-backed truth that keeps you out of the pharmacy line and in the prime of your life. Your heart has worked for you for decades. It's time you gave it the daily routine it's been waiting for. I'm Dr. Danzy. Take your medicine, flex your arteries, and I'll see you in the next video. Be well.